What's up again, everybody? This is the first game in the PDC Draft Store Championship, and I apologize for getting it up so much later than the draft portion of this. Really quickly, this is my opponent, Carrie. We matched up in the first round. She rolls up two masks and a fist, picks up a big entrance on her turn. Her first turn, she elected to go first. We've got on her team, this is her team, she's got a Potion Paragon spell, which gives her characters fast. If she plays it, she gives one character fast. She's got a 3-cost Intellect Devourer. She's got a Human Fighter and a Displacer Beast, both of which I think are very good cards. She's got a Half-Orc Barbarian, a Storm Giant. She's got a Dragon, she's got Bahamut, and a Lich. So she's got two really big drops there at the end. Dragons can be scary, but usually people don't really get to them in draft formats just because, you don't really get a lot of times where you have 7 energy. If you can get it out, it's pretty much a game changer, and you're pretty much guaranteed to win because 7 cost and Breath Weapon are just really powerful. 3 mana 8/8 is strong. 3 energy 8/8. My biggest fear on her team is this Human Fighter and the Half-Orc Barbarian because of their experience abilities. All my characters are monsters, so if my characters get KO'd on her turn, we're going to have some problems. She brought Power Bolt and Big Entrance for her basic actions, which make this game a little interesting. Power Bolt can kind of turn things on its head a little bit in draft format because you basically have to race to buy these out so that your opponent just doesn't Power Bolt you to death. And Big Entrance is hit or miss in my opinion. Anyway, sorry it was so long to get these games out to you. Turns out a 1-month-old combined with sickness does not make for good commentary atmosphere, because I lost my voice a couple of days ago and just now getting it back, so if my voice sounds a little funny, I apologize. On my first turn, I roll up some energy, re-roll a sidekick, and land 4 energy. Actually, re-rolling that sidekick, in my opinion, was a misplay, because my first 2 turns in this team really want to go Hellhound, and so a Hellhound and a sidekick on one of those turns. And on the second turn, before my bag gets full, before I refill my bag, I want to pick up a SRA, which is what my team has. My opponent, she bought... on her first turn, she bought that Big Entrance, and on this turn, she bought a Displacer Beast, I believe. Something like that. It went straight into the bag, I think is why I struggled to catch it. I zoomed this camera in a little bit so that we could see more of the gameplay up close. Unfortunately for us, I missed that first purchase on her, because she did indeed use Big Entrance that first turn. So I pick up my Displacer Beast, and this is where I realize I really should have bought... So I pick up a Hellhound, and I really should have bought that Hellhound first because I would have had a sidekick at this point as well. Yes, there is her Displacer Beast that she did buy that second turn, and now she rolls it up. Has 5 energy. 5 energy to play with. So I've hit a decent stride within my first turn. My opponent went action and then character, and now she's buying another character. She's picking up a 4-cost Half-Orc Barbarian, it looks like. That is not the Half-Orc Barbarian that has Cleave, though I do really like that one a lot. So she pays 4 for it. 3 masks and a question mark. Question mark equaling that fist. I'm going to reload my bag and begin my second turn. So let's see what I pull. I do actually pull that Hellhound right away, which is great. Let's see if it rolls up. Comes up a 1-fist side, which is pretty terrible. Definitely going to want to re-roll that. It'd be great if I could get that off and running, get that in the field. And it does actually land right up on its 022 side. Now, unfortunately for me, I don't have really anything that I can pay 3 for on my end of the field. I can, though, pick up a Power Bolt, which is looking like what I'm going to do. And that's good for me because, one, it can apply pressure to my opponent or her board, but it also just allows me to keep her from buying up those Power Bolts. When you buy the first of one of the action dice, it prevents your opponent from then buying up the following 2, unless they have some crazy 6 energy roll, and then they can buy those 2. But in a draft, more likely than not, you're going to get both or 2 out of 3 of a basic action if you buy the first one. So my opponent is going to buy a Power Bolt there. She picked up a Power Bolt right after I did, and she fielded a sidekick. I pull 4 from the bag, and looks like I've got an SRA. The big thing here would be to land it, but at first it comes up a 2 energy side, 2 generic. We've also got a sidekick. Going to want to re-roll the 2 generic side, obviously, and probably the sidekick. Sidekick doesn't do me much good, especially if I can get SRA. I want as much energy as possible, and I do land an SRA and a question mark, so that is as good as that roll could probably get. Now, my opponent does have a sidekick in the field. It was good that she kept that sidekick because now she has the capacity to KO it, which it looks like she does, and forced me to only roll 2. And wow, that's a terrible roll for me, actually. The only saving grace in that roll is that it provides me I still have the ability at this point to pick up that final power bolt to keep my opponent from getting it. But man, I really wanted to get some Fiends going there. This team is really, in my opinion, I think Fiends are really strong, and I think can be a modern format team with the right Fiends, if you pick the right Fiends in Constructed. My opponent's rolling up her half-orc barbarian, which again is a pretty scary card because if she starts pushing with that half-orc barbarian and somehow I'm forced to block with a with a hellhound, then I got problems because that's going to get KO'd no problem by that barbarian, and that thing's just going to start ramping up. Oh, it looks like she's not even going to buy it. Wow, she's going to drop the money and buy a storm giant. That's got a decent, actually more than decent, it's got a really intimidating stat line. You don't usually see in draft, you don't see a lot of people picking up those large, high-cost characters. And when they do, if they can actually manage to pick those up, that can be really scary to play against. So reroll my sidekick here. Had 3 energy and a sidekick. Now I have 4 energy. Gonna pay 4 for one of those Glabrezu. Don't have to pay 5 for it because the Hellhound is discounting its purchase cost by 1. So I pay 4 for it. And then pass on over to my opponent. She's gonna roll it up. Got 4 energy, or 3 energy and a sidekick, excuse me. Much similar to her first roll of the game. Minus that sidekick, obviously. She's going to put that sidekick out, pick up another big entrance, and put that right into her bag. So she's relying on big entrance as her form of ramp and discount. Big entrance is cool like that, but also, I don't know, not too big on it because there are so many times where it can just straight up whiff, especially if you're not rolling a lot of dice. It doesn't work great as ramp if you don't have a lot of dice already. My opponent KOs her sidekick so that I only roll 2. Have to refill my bag in order to draw that second die. Gonna roll it up and get 2 generic on the second power bolt side, or second power bolt die. I'm left with a lot of energy here. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 energy. And I've got 2 6-cost characters. And an interesting decision to make. Do I want to pick up a Balor that has a really great Gate Fiend ability, allowing me to reroll or to roll a Fiend into the prep area if it comes up a face, or do I want to spend the 6 on Orcus over there that you can't see off? He's just off screen. That discounts my Fiends further by 2. If I pick up Orcus, it provides me the opportunity to buy Balor dice for 4, which is really powerful. Actually 3, which is insane. Excuse me. So it looks like I am going to pick up a Balor. No, excuse me, an Orcus. He's also got just a higher stat line. Not by much, but slightly higher stat line. At the expense of a 3 fielding cost on his third side. So Displacer Beast plus 2. Wow, that's an interesting roll. Plus 2 big entrances. 1 big entrance triggers. The other one is 2 generic. This is a perfect roll for her. And she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Oh my goodness. She's able to pay for a Bahamut. She's got the bolt. She's got 6 energy, and it's reduced by 1. That is insane. This is really good for her and really bad for me. If you can get a dragon out in draft, especially one that has a breath weapon 3, you just leave it in the field. You don't even attack. Well, I guess you have to attack with it when you do the breath weapon, but man, it forces the defending player to basically allow it unblocked, which means you can push for as much as 8 damage because you cannot under any circumstance, well, especially if it KOs all your characters, but under any circumstance, really, you can't let that thing stay in the field. You have to let the damage go through or KO it somehow and really, really hope that it doesn't come up, you know, as a character face again. I roll and field a Glabrizu. Glabrizu has an ability for himself that you get to roll another Glabrizu die when you field it. If it comes up a character face, he can pop into the prep area. You don't have to pay for it. Unfortunately, it did not, but I am going to push forward with the attack because I got to deal some damage, especially seeing that she has a Bahamut waiting for me in that bag. So I'm going to hit her for 6. It was on its 2, 5, 6 side, and I buffed it with a fist on the Haymaker Global, with the Haymaker Global. Oh, thank goodness. Let's hope it comes up another double bolt. You really need to keep all that energy, and that looks like what she's going to do. And it does come up another double bolt. So I dodge a bullet, and that's unfortunate for her because that is a game-changing die if it comes up. You just leave it in the field, wait until you have the ability to pay for that breath weapon out my board, and just hit me for as much as you want. I think it's so amazing that she was able to get that die in draft. I mean, it's not impossible to roll 7, as you saw. She actually only needed 6 with big entrance, but that's a pretty good roll that she came up with to be able to get that. She picks up a potion, which is a 2-cost potion that allows you to give a character fast. Seems a bit overkilly because, I mean, she's got such strong characters already at this point. Fast is kind of redundant. I've got a lot of energy here. I've got 6. But I'm going to, actually 7 if you count the bolt over there. But I'm going to re-roll it because I want that ramp. And unfortunately, and the character, but neither of those come up. So back with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this time instead of 7. So here, unfortunately, I can't actually pick up anything that I brought. Or is that a bolt? I could pick up another Glabrizu. It looks like that's probably what I'm going to do here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really matter how I pay for it. No very good way of doing it. Pay the 4 for the Glabrizu. Clearly, I'm not going to attack. I got to keep the Hellhound in the field zone. My opponent rolls up her dice. Lands 2 big entrances. This is one of those instances where big entrance doesn't really work. You've already got a character. What do you really need to discount? And you've rolled 2 big entrances, both land on their action faces. Do you really need big entrance at this point? No, you could probably just prioritize go for the 2 generic sides. Serves as energy at that point. She's actually scooping the Displacer Beast too. That's very interesting. Man, and that's a poor roll for her. She can obviously field the Displacer Beast, but those other 2 action dice are pointless. If you are new to the game, Big Entrance does not stack. And if you don't know what Big Entrance is, Big Entrance basically, and she is going to make use of it, she's going to pay 1 for one of those potions instead of 2 and pop it into the bag. When you play Big Entrance, it allows you to, it reduces the cost of all your characters by 1. So if something is a 4-cost fist, like this half-orc barbarian on the screen, it becomes a 3-cost fist. And if you purchase something, whatever you end up purchasing that turn can go into your bag rather than into your use pile, which is very quick because you just pull it right back out usually. Rolling up on my side, I've got 2 generic, 1 shield, 1 mask, and a sidekick. I'm scooping up everything but the sidekick and rolling it all out. At this point, it's okay to, keep those sidekicks because I'm putting them out in the field, and even though they get wiped by breath weapon, if that dragon comes out, I'm getting him out of my bag, just keeping my bag count small. I land the power bolt, and instead of sending it towards the Displacer Beast, I just hit her in the face with it. Not literally, that would be really insensitive. Left with 2 energy in my reserve pool. Nothing I can do with 2, and this is one of the reasons why I felt kind of weird going into this into this tournament. I didn't have a solid 2-drop, and I really feel comfortable when there is a 2-drop. Oh, she's going to re-roll that Bahamut. Let's see if it comes up. That would be pretty poor if it does for me. She has the energy too if she just kept it. Oh no! Oh, that's the sorry, that's the Storm Giant. That does not. That's not a very good die for me to see either. Luckily for me, it looks like it's on its 6-4 side. Maybe it's 1-5-4. Hard to tell. She pays 1 to field it. At which point the ability of the Storm Giant triggers. She pulls 3 dice from her bag. I think that means at this point she puts the 2 sidekicks into her use pile, and then I take 2 damage as per the ability, and the other die returns to her bag. Really cool Storm Giant ability in that it churns through the bag nicely, pulls your sidekicks out, puts them in used again, so you can get some nice bag churn going. She's not going to attack, which is really interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense not to, but if you can chump block out some of those sidekicks, I don't see why not. Or if you force me to let those through, or if I make the choice to let those through, that's not the worst thing in the world. It does, however, mean that she has some blockers here for a Glabrezu that I've rolled and a sidekick that I've gotten. Definitely want to reroll that Orcus as well. That would be great if I could pick that up. Rerolling the Glabrezu as well. Interesting. That comes up as a question mark, or sorry, as two masks, and pick up just the 1 fist side of the Orcus. Really, really poor rolls there. Got a lot of energy too. Finally, pick up a Ballard die. Maybe the Ballard die will be more kind to me on if it rolls. So she's going to scoop and refill her bag. See how she chooses, or what she chooses out of her bag. Just another sidekick. So 4 dice come up. Lands a half-orc barbarian. Going to be able to field that with the energy that she has. Looks like she also landed the potion. The potion isn't going to do much good because I can just block with a sidekick. It would already, her attacking character would already KO the sidekick. Wouldn't have to really worry about her fast ability, you know, her character not being dealt damage. So not too terrible for her right here. See if she chooses to reroll that for any reason. At this point, you don't really want to do much buying. I don't mind this idea of scooping because you can land a sidekick. Actually, that's not a bad play at all. She's got the 1 energy to field. And let's see if she chooses to push. Looks like she's not going to choose to push. She's going to let that action die burn and pass the turn over to me. At which point I'm going to draw my 4 and keep this thing going. Glabrezu right off the top, which is great. We've got a Power Bolt, and let's see if another one. 2 Power Bolts come up. So I can deal 4 to face. Field the Glabrezu. Looks like I am going to deal 4 to face is the best idea. No need. Well, I could KO the Storm Giant. Unfortunately for me, I'm in this weird situation where I'm just sitting there waiting for this dragon to come up to see if it's going to cycle back through the bag if she misses the roll on it, or if it's going to come up and basically just wipe my board. I push with this Glabrezu. This is probably a wrong play, actually, because if she pulls that dragon very next turn and breath weapons, or if at first she KOs this Glabrezu, or lets it through, and then breath weapons my board, I could basically just die next turn. Really bad play on my part. Displacer Beast has this really cool ability that allows her to basically pull in another character into the fray. So she's pulling in my my Hellhound and forcing that to KO, and what that does is then it allows her half-orc barbarian, who's in the field still on her turn, or actually it's not on her turn, but the half-orc barbarian's ability allows it to gain an experience at that moment. So no longer is it a 3/3, but it's actually a 4/4. And not only that, but it looks like she's got a Displacer Beast and a dragon that she's rolling. So she's going to need some energy to field it. She keeps the... Oh, no, she lands it too. Okay, so this could be a problem. Unfortunately for her, it doesn't look like she has the breath weapon capability. She's just barely off that. She looks like she's going to need 1 to field, and the breath weapon is 3. So if she wouldn't have rolled the Displacer Beast or the bolt or action side on her power bolt, then she would have been able to activate that, and looks like she probably would have won on this very turn. Let's see, I would have been reduced to 13, and then she would have been pushing for 6 plus 1 plus 4. And I could have blocked 1/6, so she wouldn't have won this turn, but she'd put me at 2 if she pushed with everything. So at this point, if I were her, I would not push with anything. I would just sit back because she has such a huge advantage at this point. No need to push, give me any sort of advantageous position. She's got a dragon in the field and breath weapon ready to go next turn. All she's got to do is roll 3 energy, and then she can just wipe my board. So really bad position for me. But, oh, she is going to push. Okay. Oh, no. She's going to push with everything. This is probably not a good choice because now I can just I can basically pick and choose where I want what characters I want to live and what characters I don't mind sacrificing. I can choose what damage I want to go through, what characters I want to get rid of, basically. And here I block in such a way that I'm going to take a lot of damage, but I'm going to survive and have a huge advantage on board. So I'm going to take a lot of damage. 6 plus the Fist global, which is activated on Haymaker. Going to knock me down a huge chunk to 3, I think. That D20 says 4, but I think I actually got knocked down here to 3. Luckily for me, she did attack. Otherwise, I think this would have been a hugely bad turn. Now I'm rolling characters, though. This is really good. So I land a Balor and I land a Hellhound. And I do still have a Glabrizu in the field. And it looks like that should actually just straight up be it. Even if she blocks the Balor, the Glabrizu plus the Hellhound, 5 plus 2 plus 2, should actually just be it. Yeah, that's 9 damage. And she only has 1 character to block with. So that should do that for game 1, unless I miss and don't attack. Got a sidekick in the field too, or in the reserve pool too. So I should see this here. Don't land the Glabrizu. I am going to use that, and she's clearly not going to KO a character. Perhaps I just don't see that I have lethal. So I'm going to pay to field, and field for free, because the Hellhound has a great ability that also allows me to reduce the fielding cost of Fiends. Oh, it looks like now I finally do see that I just have enough to push right there. And if assuming that she would block that top one, so we were just talking it out. Yeah, she points out that I had enough on board to just push, and so she points out. We both point out that it was open, basically an open board. So end up pushing through that first game. I was in a really bad position with my opponent being able to pull out a dragon. And as I said before, dragons can really turn the tide, especially in a draft, because of that breath weapon ability and just their general large stats on all of their die sides. So I was really fortunate to have her push and me be able to really decide the rules of engagement and allow some of my characters to live. So I end up at the end of this first round 1-0 and moving up in the Swiss bracket, playing someone else who's 1-0 in this round number 2. So let's jump over into game number 2. Thanks for watching.